Get in the WWE shop, all right.
Probably all kinds of things.
Yeah, can I get his vest?
Probably a lot of
$300, please.
Probably a lot of beer koozies.
Okay, I clicked on it, and it says, looks like you're taking a wrong turn. You're in parts unknown. Search. Stone Cold. Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week. All right. Okay, anyways, we're talking about the Suicide Squadron, because that's what squad's short for, and then I was talking about how when we were sitting down, there was a couple next to us, and then the guy started grumbling a little bit and like wanted to move over because he didn't want to be right next to me or whatever. Well, his girlfriend was right next to me. But then she didn't want to move, and then he was trying to talk her into it by being like, I mean, what ticket do you even have? You can't just sit anywhere. And Nick...
She was sitting in my seat.
She was actually in his seat. And I actually, most of the time, I contemplated, like, what if I just sat on the other side of Nick? But I was like, I don't want her to think I don't want to sit next to her. Because I really wanted to vape. I wanted to jewel inside of the movie theater, okay? And then I was talking about my fond memory of seeing the movie High Life with Robert Pattinson and jeweling the whole time. And I'm real respectable about it. I hold it in to do all the damage it can to my lungs until all the vapor is gone so that when I exhale into my shirt, you know, nobody can see anything. But I didn't get to do that this whole movie because I was right next to someone else. High Life is about a similar thing to the Squadron movie we just saw. They're prisoners and they get some time knocked off to their sentence if they let the U.S. government shoot them into space. And you know, the idea is that they're coming back. They're gonna be experimented on and they'll come back. Not horrific. It's just the one that Robert Pattinson is in is to like you see like what happens if you were to get someone pregnant in space. What kind of complications arise from that?
Is it possible?
Yeah, there's a lot of jerking off. Almost every character jerks off. There's rape. A lot of the sex is very, very aggressive.
Oh, I don't like
and
that.
I saw it with my partner and her female friends, and they were all like, God damn, that was a hot movie. And
no.
I was like, no, it wasn't. That was like a fucked up movie. Like, they really blur the lines between what sex is and, like, you know, they almost make it synonymous with just fucking getting yours and, like... There's a rape scene. I don't know how to say that then. So, anyways, Suicide Squadron.
0 rape scenes. Just saw it. Can't confirm.
You've seen the other one. I have not.
Other one's bad. The other one's the only movie I've ever seen in my life where I was actively checking my watch during it.
Yeah.
In a
I
movie
don't want you to go on for very long.
I won't.
But
I can wrap it up in a sentence.
What is it? Well, give me a little more.
Okay, sorry.
I want a little more detail, but you know, maybe aim for like a 2-minute tale.
Oh, okay.
Like, what is the Suicide Squadron like? The other one.
The Suicide Squadron
seems too dark. I don't like that DC dark look.
It's very dark.
Yeah.
It is very much so edited by a trailer house.
I don't like it in general. It started with goddamn Underworld, and Hollywood's been obsessed with it ever since. Yeah. Do you remember Underworld?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
And we kind of got away from it, and then The Dark Knight happened, and then
everybody
DC's
was like, shit.
That's what we're fucking doing. The original Suicide Squad, yeah, directed by David Ayers. Solid director. Directed this movie.
He did Fury?
Maybe. I know he did End of Watch.
Yes. 2 movies that I shouldn't like, but I do.
Yeah.
Because they're both kind of propaganda.
Yeah, kind of.
David Ayer's the bootlicker director.
Yeah, but they're solid movies.
Mm.
And then, I don't know, I think one of the other ones, like Batman v Superman or something, came out and everybody hated it. And then so Warner Brothers panics, gets the trailer house to fucking cut it, adds a bunch of shitty needle drops. And it's just bad. Nothing.
Yeah.
There's no.
Like, what's the plot? I guess
the plot is Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis.
Does she do just as good of a job as she did in this movie?
Yeah, she kills it.
Yeah,
she always
great
does.
actress.
She does the exact same thing she does in this movie.
Or actor, if we're just going actor these days.
Yeah,
I
you
think we're
should say
dropping the
actor.
actress thing, yeah, which is fine.
She does exactly what she does in this movie. But remember in this movie where in a matter of 45 seconds she goes, "This is a suicide squad. I'm putting a bomb in your neck. If you try to run, I'm killing you."
Yes.
That takes probably like 20 minutes to explain.
Doesn't need to.
She's got to pitch it to a board of directors featuring the cop from Stranger Things.
God, I hope we enter into the age of superhero movies where they realize all of these characters exist in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We get it. You can just start the movie.
Yeah.
The first hour and 20 minutes does not have to be with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, very much so. They go, hey, Will Smith is in this movie, so we got to show the audience Will Smith immediately. And so you see Will Smith, a cool, fun scene of Will Smith shooting people before the movie starts.
How's he doing the movie?
Boy, whatever. He's Will Smith.
Laughing to the bank, kind of.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is fine. No disrespect. I just
Yeah,
mean,
no, exactly.
Like, if that's what you're doing, like, I'm going to call it that. I'm not mad. Do your thing, man.
He plays Deadshot, who is pretty much Idris Elba's character from this movie.
Yeah. Idris Elba.
Exactly.
How about that shit when they said he was too street to be?
No, they said he was too urban to be James Bond.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Fucked
You
up.
kidding me? That could be a great James Bond.
Exact same motivation as him. Ooh, he's got to save his daughter, but Will Smith is much more like, I love my fucking daughter, okay?
Yeah. Which is boring.
Which is boring, and then you get like a flashback of like him walking down an alley with his daughter after escaping from prison, and then Ben Affleck's Batman shows up and goes, "I gotta take you in," and he's like,
Literally
"No."
never seen 1 second of Ben Affleck on screen playing Batman. I've seen him in trailers and stuff.
Hey,
I've never seen it.
I'm gonna say something to you right now.
Huh.
I know you're not gonna like it. Ben Affleck is the best Batman.
Yeah, I don't care.
Well,
it remains to be seen, and I mean that literally.
And then his daughter goes, "No, Dad, don't kill Batman. Go to jail instead." So he goes to jail instead. And then they do all the shit, and they bring all the people in, and you see Captain Boomerang in it, and then you get a little scene of him getting stopped at a bank by the Flash. Sucks. And they bring them all into like a courtyard, and they're like, "This is your mission. Gear up." And then you see Harley Quinn get changed for some reason. And then
Is this supposed to be a sex appeal thing?
oh yeah, absolutely. She is just ditzy, stupid, pointing her ass at places the entire movie. It sucks. It really sucks. And they also have a member of the team called Enchantress. She's the girlfriend of Rick Flag, who was in this movie that we just saw. He's the main guy. Not the main guy, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, she does like magic. I get you. I got you. Right?
No, Rick Flag from this movie.
Yeah, but you were talking about like Enchantress.
Okay, yeah, but I was asking if you know who Rick Flag is.
I know who Rick Flag is.
Anyway, Rick
He's the one with the bad haircut and the southern accent.
Yes, Rick Flag's girlfriend has magic powers from a magic ancient thing, and then magic ancient thing goes rogue, and the Suicide Squad has to take that down. And then they just walk through a bunch of abandoned streets, just killing goo monsters. Jared Leto's Joker shows up here and there. Can't even remember why. And it just sucks. And nobody's likable, and nothing's funny, and it's just not good. Killer Croc is there as well, and he just looks like an old man who's not wearing a shirt.
I would like to have been given a heads up that you wanted to watch this movie today, so I could have seen that movie beforehand.
There's absolutely no reason to see that.
You know I'll watch anything.
Yeah, I know,
You
but
know I'll watch anything.
I don't want you to. I want to, as from one friend to another, I'd like to keep you from experiencing that. And then, there's really no character building or motivation or anything like that. And then at the end, this guy named El Diablo goes, "No, these are my family. I'm going to sacrifice myself for them." He's got a really bad Mexican accent. That's why I did that bad accent. I'm sorry, everybody. And then it's just kind of fucking over. The end. They beat the bad guy. The bad guy... also, the bad guy shoots a big blue beam of light up into the air.
I got a couple questions for you.
A big superhero trope.
Do they ever feel like they actually are currently still kind of the bad guys?
No, it very much so turns them into heroes immediately.
What about the Amanda Waller character? Is there friction between the team and her trying to wrangle the cats?
Yeah, I guess, technically.
But it's like forced, kind of, I guess.
Oh, yeah, everything in that movie is forced.
Okay. What's the runtime on that bitch?
Probably like 3 hours.
It's disgusting.
What it feels like. I have no idea what it actually is.
We were just talking about this in the kitchen. I'm going to say it again. What the fuck ever happened to a movie being 90 minutes?
90 minutes, that's all you need.
Back in the day.
Kill your darlings. That's all you need to make a good movie is 90 minutes.
During like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like it was even common for a movie to just be about an hour. About 70 minutes. A lot of the classic horror movies that I love, like Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, they're all an hour and 10.
Yeah.
You know, I think Son of Frankenstein was actually like an hour and 39. I might know that offhand. But anyways, I just don't understand why every movie's got to be 2 hours and 10 minutes. Actually, I think I might kind of. This is not a hard rule, but I would say a general thing that's happened with a lot of, like, in my opinion, big movies. And maybe it's been happening for 30 or 40 years. I'm not saying it happened overnight, but I'm just saying it seems like the spectacle is kind of overtaken, like, you know, the importance of, like, telling a good story necessarily. Yeah. A good story could still be told, but also let's stretch it out like an extra 40 minutes so we can have more of that thing where, like, I guess in their head they think, like, yeah, dude, if we have the tower falling but then they're running and then they jump to the other half of the tower, like, people are going to be talking about that. Like, we got to really, like, that's the thing that's really going to, like, and which is fine because I know that inherently cinema is also supposed to be a spectacle. It's supposed to be an event and whatnot.
Yeah, you're supposed to have fun, but also at the same time. Deadpool 1, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Fucking love it. It's great.
Yeah.
And it feels like 2 hours in the best way.
Yeah.
It's good. That's all you need. If you can make a good movie, you can do it in 90 minutes.
Hey, and guess what? If you make a good one, they might make you, like, let you make a second one. So maybe save some of those fun ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you don't run into the situation where the sequel's way worse because you saved some ideas from the first one.
Like, listen, Christopher Nolan, I love Interstellar as much as the next guy.
I don't have 4 hours.
Exactly. I'll probably never watch Interstellar again because it's goddamn 3 hours.
I will say that I have to at least once in my lifetime see Gone with the Wind, though.
Did you know, I found this out the other day, Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz directed by the same guy?
I didn't know they're directed by the same guy. I know they came out in, like, the same year, though.
Yeah, and he used, like, a gopher, like a fake name for Wizard of Oz, I believe, because...
Yeah, I mean, that's something else we talked about before. We're not even fucking talking about the Suicide Squad yet, but, you know, for a while, like, if you were a director or, like, an actor, like, you worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you were cranking out movies.
Yeah, it was an industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, I might be working on one movie for 2 or 3 years.
Which I have...
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying,
that,
like,
but...
it is interesting to go back and, like, look at some of these people that we idolize and just be like, oh, shit, they did, like, wow, that's crazy, you know, and then you're, you know, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
They used to, like, fucking make... It's almost like the auto industry. Like, yeah, we still kind of make cars, whatever, but...
Like, that's what I hear people
not
say
like we
about,
used to.
Casablanca.
Yeah.
Casablanca is such a good movie, but again, it was just like every other movie at the time. It was a job. Everybody there was working their job, and then, they made one of the best movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, what did you think of The Suicide Squadron, 2021, directed by James Gunn?
What did I think of the Suicide Squadron? Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
And it's something I fucking wish, if I could go back in time, I was doing for every Marvel movie. What is this movie about?
A group of prisoners.
Nope, not that. What's, like, the theme, the message that they're trying to send?
Oh.
It's that everybody's got a little good in them.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. The rat sees the good in Mr. Elba, Mr. Idris Elba, you know? Mm-hmm. And then at the end, like, she cries watching her dad on TV saving the day.
Okay.
You know, even because they had that conversation earlier about how, like, I've got nothing good for you, you know?
Except
that's what the whole movie's about.
John Cena.
Well, yeah, except John Cena. But whatever. But anyways, that's what the movie's about.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, so what is Iron Man about? The first one.
Everyone's got a little good in them.
You think so?
Yeah, he was a weapons manufacturer that went, you know what? I got a little good in me. I'm going to start making weapons.
Perhaps I would say rather people can change, perhaps.
Yeah, because they got a little good in them.
Yeah. What about the second one?
Iron Man 2?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a little bad in them.
I think they lost the plot on the second one.
They did.
What about the third one?
The third
we haven't
one?
talked about it yet on the Marvel podcast.
As long as you got a little good in you, you can get shit done.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, what about Thor? What do you think Thor is about?
To get past your ego and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That shit'll blind you, even if you got a little good in you.
Okay. What about the Incredible Hulk?
The Incredible Hulk? I don't know. I don't know what the lesson of the Incredible Hulk is.
What about Captain America?
Captain America. If you're a little guy and you got a lot of good in you, you can one day become a big guy with a lot of good in you. No, I think it's the same. It's the same. It's Chris. It's the same thing for pretty much every superhero movie. Is if you're good and pure of heart, it overcomes evil. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the Avengers?
The Avengers. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Well, anyways, if they all have the same plot, I would go out on a limb and say that the Suicide Squad has probably done one of the better jobs so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was written like an actual. No disrespect. Like I said, I like some of the Marvel movies, but like I think it was written like an actual movie where like multiple times throughout the story, characters say things that are actually indicative of what you're supposed to take away from the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are multiple, situations where the characters don't live up to what they should be. Don't live up to what they should be. Now they have. The change is paired with action, and that does happen in the Marvel movies. But we can talk about that more on the Let's Marvel, because God, here we go again. One of the things that I was thinking about over this week, because we had a brief conversation about another movie called Split, and we were talking about the portrayal of like mental illness and stuff like that, right? Iron Man 3, I genuinely overall like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than 2.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion. And one of the things I like the most is that he's dealing with that PTSD. That's such an interesting and, in my opinion, underutilized.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that big
Yeah.
time.
I feel like there's a way to, like, very well, like, they could have easily had him, like, they could have taken that as an opportunity to, like, teach the lesson of, like, oh, hey, go get help when you need help. And, like, I don't know, I feel like it would be cool, in my opinion, legitimately, if there were one of the Avengers was also just like, oh, yeah, and then also I go to therapy.
We'll get into it again, but my quickie review for Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
It is a movie about Iron Man having PTSD from the last movie. No longer has his suit and has to get shit done by himself. And it's directed by the guy who did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. Movie shoulda fucking ripped.
Yeah,
it should have been him and Rhodey without their suits for some of it, trying to get this shit done. It would have been great.
In my opinion, it comes off as if there was a direction that they wanted it to go in, and there was a direction where a bunch of other people wanted to take it in.
Yeah. And
it seems like there's a lot of, like, tension between the two movies that it almost feels like it is at the same time. Anyways, Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
I'll make a lot of statements about it, but overall, what did I think about it? I thought it was... it kind of reminds me, and I do not mean this in a disrespectful way, but it reminds me a lot of the movies that a lot of big directors kind of got their start doing. Like, I want to say it's called like Brain Dead or something like that, which is the Peter Jackson gore fest that came out in like 1990 or whatever. Or like The Evil Dead, with Sam Raimi, that kind of thing. It's that thing where it's just like, I understand that he's like a 45-year-old man, I think. James Gunn?
Yeah, I buy that.
But it seems like...
Probably pushing 50, I believe.
In my opinion, he just decided, like, yeah, I like making that kind of movie. I'm not going to, like, mature and make the fucking Lord of the Rings one day. I like this shit,
He knows his wheelhouse.
And,
he started out making trauma films.
Yeah. And, it just seems like he's still in the young man's game, keeping it alive, kind of, It's a fun movie. It's a funny movie. It's a gross movie sometimes. It's written... well in terms of like comparing it to other big blockbuster superhero movies. I think it's a pretty well written movie. And I think it runs about 2 hours.
Correct.
I'm pissed about that in general, but it was not that big of a deal. But God, fucking stop.
Knock it off.
Stop it, please. Do you know how good it feels when a movie ends at an hour and a half?
I can't wait to get to the last Avengers movie with you.
Why?
It's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my God. Anyways, I'm going to throw the question your way, but then also I want to try to, like, piece together a little bit roughly what happens and talk a bit about some of that stuff. I feel like I don't know if we are to begin talking about movies that are coming out a little more currently. It's gonna end up being spoiler filled. I don't think there's a way where I can just overall be like, well, no, there's some interesting stuff with how they do and pussyfoot around a little bit. I'm gonna have to just talk about stuff. So what did you think about it? I guess
I enjoyed it. I thought overall it was good. I expected probably a little bit more out of it.
I expected way less.
Because
I had less than zero interest in this thing.
yeah,
Yes.
I had a lot of interest in it because I think Guardians of the Galaxy, for as much as I talk about the other ones, Guardians of the Galaxy might be my favorite superhero movie. It is definitely, it's the only superhero movie that breaks into my list of like top 10 favorite movies.
Yeah.
I think it is really good. Probably because it stands alone by itself a lot. And take this with a huge grain of salt. I feel like for what they're worth, superhero movies, James Gunn is ahead of the pack from everybody else.
Yeah, in my opinion, if you were to compare it to like we were talking about this in the car briefly, if you were to compare it to like the graphic novel boom of the mid to late 80s, I would say James Gunn kind of reminds me a bit of like the Grant Morrison type, where like he's obsessed with using all this like weird shit that comics want you to forget about, like Polka Dot Man and the Peacemaker and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Except, you know, like I said, Grant Morrison uses it more for like, well, I'm gonna make it seem very impactful and emotional and spiritual. Instead, James Gunn is just like, I'm gonna make it super fucked up.
Yeah, I think...
And I'm gonna make grown men groan in the movie theater. Because I heard a lot of groans. I heard a lot of people going like, ugh.
But I think... We were talking about this in the car. I do prefer Guardians of the Galaxy to this. Because I think the good thing about James Gunn, and I think it works really well when he's reined in a little bit by Marvel, James Gunn is a big old cheeseball, good at wacky stuff, but also good at doing just like a nice, simple, tight, heartwarming story. We've talked about this before. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, cry like a baby. And also, it's a lot of fun. And not a lot that he does feels trite. I don't know if that's the right word. Very much so. Every James Gunn film I've seen absolutely feels like a movie directed by a guy instead of, you know, just a Marvel Studios movie or a DC Studios movie. It feels like a James Gunn movie. And I really appreciate that. But that being said, I expected this movie to be great. With the exception of like, I read that they're kind of just letting him do whatever he wants. Because I don't know if you know this, he got fired from Marvel. And when that happened, DC was like, you can direct a movie and do literally whatever you want. And he's like, all right, sick. And then Marvel's like, hey, sorry, we'll hire you back. He's like, sick, I gotta make both of these movies.
You get the best of both worlds.
And yeah, I think this one was a little too violent at times. Didn't really need to be. It was still fun nonetheless. A lot of almost exactly what I thought was going to happen in this movie happens. But some of it still caught me by surprise. Like, there's that scene where the three of them, John Cena, Idris Elba, and bad haircut country accent, were stuck in the back of that truck. And they're like talking to those guys or whatever, and he lights them a cigarette, and I don't remember what he says.
The death touch.
Yeah, the death touch. But I was watching it, I was like, oh, I like these guys. And I feel like that happens in every James Gunn movie I see. Like, just a moment will happen, and I go, oh, I like these guys. I like this person. I like these characters. Cool. Cool. I know right now, here now, I'm invested in this movie now. And I think... On
a side note, real quick. When they're in the bar, Peacemaker orders Fernet, right?
Yeah.
Like Fernet Blanca or Branca or whatever the fuck it is?
Yeah.
The digestive.
The what?
It's a liqueur that's like a digestive.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to drink a bunch of it. You're supposed to have like a little bit after a meal if your tummy's like a little upset.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Just funny.
No, I don't think you're supposed... No, I don't think so. People drink Fernet Branca as a drink.
Interesting, because it's fucking hard to stomach.
I enjoy it.
That's crazy, bro. To each their own.
Comes in a little wine bottle. It's fun. I think this movie was shot pretty well. I enjoyed a lot of it. I saw James Gunn posted a few times on his Twitter, I believe, of like, I'm a big fan of like old like 60s, 70s like pulp action novels and stuff like that. And he posted like a bunch of covers and stuff like that. He's like, this I took, it is in this shot of Suicide Squad. I took this and it's in this shot of Suicide Squad, which I think is very cool. I was not a fan of the diegetic transition screens, the now or back at Harley
that
Quinn.
was awful.
I hated all that every single time.
Like
it happened way too many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this movie was good. Could have been better. Could have been much, 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 much worse.
Yeah, well, I'm also curious, like, it's hard to imagine, but I wonder how Guardians of the Galaxy would be received if it weren't within the context of how bland and run-of-the-mill every Marvel movie is, right? So Suicide Squad is kind of now like a movie that, in my opinion at least, kind of seems to like, it doesn't have any of that context really. I mean, other than like DC movies sucking, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because they've all been bad that it's going to be somehow beneficial to this movie. I think the fact that most of the Marvel movies were good, but just a little bland, made the fact that James Gunn made a good one that wasn't bland, like, it helped give it kind of a foundation to, like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Like, inside the context,
But
right?
from my memory, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was the absolute peak of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Everybody was fucking all about that shit. Everybody loved every single one that had come out. When they announced Guardians of the Galaxy, everyone was like, oh no. They had a great run. Guardians of the Galaxy, these D-listers. This is... this isn't going to work. And the trailers came out, everyone's like, ooh, guys, no. This is going to be bad. And I remember going to reluctantly see it. And I was like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
That was so good. And I think that's just what everybody did, because James Gunn just made a good movie. And I guess that could feed into what you're saying about the other ones being kind of bland. And in every sense of the word, is Guardians of the Galaxy is just a pop of color, a nice little injection for those movies that I don't think they ever recapture, even in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I guess mainly what I was trying to say, I guess ultimately, is like, I feel like it's graced by, like, when you think about it, you're thinking about it within the context of the MCU, which just the Suicide Squad doesn't have, so just kind of out on its lonesome, and I feel like that kind of caps how good it can really be, kind of a thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, no, that's my thing I like personally so much about Guardians of the Galaxy, is it has almost nothing to do with the rest of the MCU.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, rhetorically speaking, like, at a grander scale,
I guess.
Marvel is slapped on the front, so, like, there's like, in your brain, it's already primed. There's no way you could never do it. It's already hardwired into being associated with that brand, with that company, with that series of movies, with the MCU. It just happens, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, but what my response was, no, that didn't make anybody want to see this movie or make anyone feel better about this movie. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy absolutely 100% stood on its own two legs, even without being a Marvel movie.
But what I'm saying is you can't make that statement, because what I'm saying is, like, it's an impossibility to imagine a scenario where that just exists, right? There's never been an Iron Man. There's never been an Iron Man 2. There's never been an Iron Man 3.
Okay.
Like, if it just came out,
okay,
would people still be as warm about it, kind of a thing?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the situation that this is like, if we're having like a thought experiment, as you would in like philosophy or whatever. Suicide Squad kind of is it, but it's also hard because now it's muddied up by being like, well, he jumped ship, whatever.
Well, no,
but
it's
anyways,
not. It is. I'm gonna say this is. I'd say this is even worse than your. I think this is steeped in more stuff than Guardians of the Galaxy was.
Yeah.
Because this is James Gunn, the guy who did that Marvel movie that everybody liked, remaking a bad movie that came out 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, ooh, this has to be good. This has to be better than that last one. And it has to be as good as this one. So I think this one came out in even less of a vacuum or whatever.
Yes. I'm not arguing about whether or not it exists inside of a context. I'm just saying that the Guardians of the Galaxy exists in a different context. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Suicide Squad is in a much, much stranger. And that's kind of my point, is like, Guardians of the Galaxy has a pretty, I would say, clean-cut bed to lay in at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, on the other hand, it's kind of sleeping in the alley.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And what I'm trying to say is that when you get to go to bed there, that just helps a little bit. It's kind of like your parents being middle class or something. Just helps a little bit. Suicide Squad's going to bed in the alley. It's not getting no help. So anyways, what I'm saying is, like, if those DC movies were better, but maybe bland, and then this one came around, again, because then you also have to ignore, as you were just saying, the context of Marvel existing, the context of Guardians of the Galaxy already being a thing. But I'm just saying that this might be, I don't know, because now I don't think it has as good of a. Let's just get away from all that for a second. I don't think it has as good of a heart as like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I don't really remember necessarily exactly what direction they take that in, but I just feel like the memory I have of seeing that movie and seeing the second one tugged on my heartstrings a little more.
Guardians 2? Or Guardians?
First or second one. I don't really remember either of them too much.
I believe in Guardians they kind of ham it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the point of the thing. Is like, hey, we're family now. And that's kind of, or like, hey, none of us have had a family, and so this is kind of our family now. And it tries
maybe
to pull
it didn't
your
hit me that much.
Heartstrings in that kind of way.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking more of the second one.
But yeah, no, this one, I do appreciate in this one, there's none of that. They're just like, hey, just we're this team.
I almost teared up a little bit, actually, when she's watching the TV and her dad's on there. I did.
Okay, well, yeah. Yes, that, but I meant like a dynamic with the team.
Mm-hmm.
They are still just, this team. They're not like, hey, we're ride or die now. We're a family.
To get a little more thick into it, that is definitely a strength as we're going down the timeline. Just blows through some expedition.
Expedition.
Yeah.
There's an expedition within like a minute. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Just, hey, you guys are criminals. We got you for some blackout shit. You go off mission. We're blowing up your brain. That's all you need to know. I wish more movies would do shit like that in general. I mean, superhero movies, obviously, big offender. We talked about it a second ago. The origin story thing. An orgy of origin stories. But just in general, a lot of the times, like, movies will take way too fucking long to establish what the fuck they're about. And it kind of reminds me a little bit, I'm being hyperbolic, I'll admit it, but it reminds me a little bit about how in, like, creative writing, you're writing a short story, you're writing a script. I've heard all kinds of people talk about the thing where, like, your natural instinct when you're an inexperienced writer is to start with, like, well, the story starts when you woke up that day. So you go, Jerry woke up, Jerry brushed his teeth, Jerry took a shower. I used to do it all the time.
You start when it's interesting, right?
Exactly. You start when it's interesting. And again, movies in general should do that more, but especially superhero movies.
Yeah.
Because tell you what's not fucking interesting. The part where, like, hey, he's kind of relatable. He's a teenager just like you.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. There's a lot of teenagers, superheroes. Let's just start with the part where the rhino attacks the city.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, you know where we should start?
Huh.
Bruce Banner meditating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think my stomach can move like that. I really don't. I think I can maybe train it, though.
I think you got to train with that one guy specifically. I think in real life, that guy who's teaching him how to do the tummy stuff is like a martial artist who, like, invented that type of breathing.
Am I wrong? I feel like Bruce Wayne does some shit like that in, like, the Christopher Nolan
fucking probably
movies. That doesn't seem good. Isn't that hyperventilating, basically?
Maybe.
Because I know there's a reason why you have, like, a natural breathing rhythm, and it's because that's the amount of, like, all of the gases and shit that are in the air that your body needs. That's the steady flow that you need to, like, decrease or increase that. Better be paired with either a decrease in activity, like falling asleep or whatever, or like an increase in activity by, like, running or something. So to just sit there and do that seems like it would be bad.
I don't know.
Right? I don't know.
I don't know enough to argue.
I don't know. It just weirds me out when I see him doing it. I'm like, oh god, dude. Like, at a certain point, I feel like you gotta faint or something, right? Like, that just seems fucked up. I don't know if I want to meditate like that. Golly.
It might be something where it's like, hey, your brain is working this way, so you're actively doing this extreme thing to your body to balance that out, you know?
Yeah. I got a question. Would you pay $1,000 to learn how to transcendentally meditate?
How much money do I have?
Let's say you have enough where you're not that worried about it. You're on the fence about, like, but you could do it easily.
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Seems
you
cool.
think that's what it's worth?
Sure.
Okay. Just curious.
I hear transcendental meditation's the tits, so
I heard Jerry Seinfeld used to do it on his lunch break when he was shooting Seinfeld. Paul McCartney's also into it.
David Lynch does it like 6 times a day.
Yeah. And he's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full head of hair, but smokes like 2 packs a day.
Yeah,
Fucking
dude.
so annoying. Anyway, Suicide Squad.
So we both do that. They set up the whole thing. We're like, this team is gonna die. The team does die. One of the earliest jokes I can remember is Pete Davidson doing the whole like, is this thing a dog? Which was funny. I liked that.
Yeah.
But then when he's like, no, it's a werewolf. And everybody's like, oh, it's a werewolf. And he's like trying to unbuckle. That's a little too campy and over the top for me. Not my taste. Not for me.
You know what my biggest problem with this movie is?
Yeah.
Waste to Nathan Fillion.
Who the fuck is Nathan Fillion?
Who the fuck is Nathan Fillion, did you just say to me?
Yeah, who's Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion. He's an American treasure. I think he's Canadian. But he's from Firefly. He's Castle. Remember the show Castle?
In my periphery, it exists, yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember Castle
In this movie,
that well,
he's
though.
the guy that gets rid of his arms, you know?
Oh, yeah, that guy was kind of funny.
He's, Nathan Fillion's, just...
That reminds me of another quip. I like the thing where he's like, oh, TDK, what does that stand for? And he's like, it's just letters. It's my name, whatever. Oh, no, and he goes, it's just letters. And then Boomerang says, yeah, all names are just letters. Which reminds me a lot of a great Atlanta joke where one of the characters just says some nonsense. And the dude's like, one of the guys is like, you made that up. And he's like, man, everything's made up. Stay woke. Yeah.
This guy. That's Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
He was kind of big in the 90s and then got, like, just had a decent success in just, you know,
Yeah.
primetime TV.
Just like
Kevin
Matthew
Sorbo.
Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
Except he wasn't primetime TV. It was voicing Shaggy Rogers. Turned out to be his market. And he cornered it.
Good on him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they all die quite violently. And then
A little over the top. But in my opinion, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, not for me, sure, but not that different than like David Lynch getting weird and meandering and experimental, right? That just happens to be James Gunn's style, whatever. It's too much for my blood sometimes. But that's what James Gunn's gonna James Gunn.
And I can handle gore pretty well in movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, not me.
Until it's somebody's face. As soon as it's someone's face, I'm like, oh no, that's who they are.
So yeah, it starts off right from the rip, just being like, you're gonna look at this.
Yeah.
You might not look the whole time, but you're at least gonna see some shit you don't want for a brief second.
Bird starts eating some brains.
I didn't even like that guy killing the fucking bird. Yeah, what's his...
Michael Rooker?
Yeah, is Michael Rooker just another guy who can use anything as a weapon kind of type?
I think he's like a bullseye kind of guy. Like
Yeah.
good aim. And he runs away, so we never
So
never really know.
Bloodsport, Deadshot, Peacemaker, Michael Rooker, whatever his name is. Just got a lot of guys who just can use anything as a weapon.
Yeah.
But you also got a lot of guys with super strength.
True. Joke of this movie is two characters do the exact same thing.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. That joke also landed.
Yeah.
I'm really looking at this more the way you'd look at a comedy, I
Yeah.
guess. You know? Yeah. I would say so. I think that's one of its biggest strengths, right?
Yeah, it is pretty funny. I'd
Yeah.
say it's as much as a comedy as a Guardians of the Galaxy is.
Yeah, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy is probably more so than the rest of them, like the comedy one.
Takes itself the least serious, but
Yeah.
at the same time isn't like a...
Like, because I wouldn't call it a drama. You know? I
It's
guess
like
I would
a
call it an
comedy,
action.
but also a superhero movie? Fucking shut up, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they all die violently on the beach, and then you see on the other side of the beach our actual team is showing up. I liked that. That was a good switcheroo immediately.
I did like the fact that they were like, all right, fuck it, Team 2. And another reason why I like that is because I know it's on the broader scale, like Team 2 is not a good thing, but especially in World of Warcraft.
Oh.
There's that's like a big kind of gag that like raids will usually, like our guilds will usually have multiple raid teams.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be in the raid team, like raid team 1.
Yeah.
And Team 2 is usually the thing where it's like they're the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Suicide Squad. They're like the ragtag. You're going to be here all night. You might not even clear the whole thing.
They're the benchwarmers,
like,
yeah.
They're the benchwarmers, yeah. They're the kids in the back of the class, you know.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're Team 2 is also just extra funny to me because, like I said, like it's pervasive in the community. It's very, very much so an in-joke to be like, oh, yeah, he's on Team 2 or whatever, you know, that kind of a thing. So,
Are we going to run through the whole plot of this movie? Do you want to do that?
Kind of briefly, yeah, a little bit. Just
okay.
overview, like, and then then you get the flashback, the pretty tacky, like, 3 days earlier.
Yep.
You get that good joke we already talked about with the thing, just so I can kind of remember it a little bit. I mean, we
Yeah,
just
no
saw
problem.
it, but then we slowly get like a little bit of an introduction to everybody. The thing that did excite me about the trailer, I don't like trailers in general, but I was like, as dumb as it sounds, like they got a shark man.
I'm into Sharkman, yeah.
I'd like to see the shark man.
I thought he looked pretty good
He
for
looks
being
great.
a big computer CGI guy. There were
Looks
some
great.
close-up shots. I was like, this
Yeah.
looks like a real Sharkman. I'm into this.
Sharkman, honestly, one of the first times
Played by Sylvester Stallone.
that I've sat through a movie and never fucking once did I actually think, oh, that's a CGI shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always just kind of like, oh yeah, it's Nakala or whatever they say his name is.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Anunnaki.
Something like that, yeah. His name
Yeah.
was King Shark in the comics, I believe.
Yeah. And then I like, so they're on the beach, and I do like again, like it's just another thing that's really smart to do in when you're writing is that your story like remembers itself, kind of a thing. Like if in a scene, like I'm holding a spatula because I was like, gonna be putting it away, and I write something like, oh, and then he forgets to put the spatula away. So the implication is that I'm holding it throughout this whole scene, and then we have a dialogue and stuff like that. And then, if the next thing that happens is that fucking, like the ninja assassins come into the room, and I'm using the spatula now, right? That's because as a writer, I didn't forget that I had my character hang on to that spatula. Kind of, there's a lot of different things, like like if there's a gun in the first act, it better be used in the third.
I was
kind
going
of
to
thing.
say, it's Chekhov's spatula.
Yeah. So I really like that, like, again, they have no idea that there's a Team 1 even. Like, they think that, and so the whole time there's, like, explosions going on. They're like, oh, what is going on to the south?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a diversion. Don't worry about it. Oh, wait, we did forget. It's grotesque, and it was kind of painful to watch because I don't want to watch someone fucking drown. But the fact that the weasel couldn't swim was pretty funny. That's a pretty good gag.
That was something from the trailer, the weasel. Every time they showed it, I'm like, God, I hope this is...
I hope he's in the whole movie, in my opinion. I want to see the weasel and the shark man hanging out.
I was like, I hope he dies immediately. I hope he's part of the A-team that dies immediately. Because more so the face is getting blown off. Don't want to fucking look at that thing. I absolutely
No, he looks
hate
like a fucking meth weasel. Like,
it's so fucking funny, but I don't want to look at it.
He looks like a cracked out version of Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
And I like that, again, because...
Played by the same guy.
That's crazy. Suicide Squadron sleeping in the alley. Rocket Raccoon's not going to look as nice.
Yeah.
But, there's a lady who controls rats. She's got that thing where she sleeps all the time.
Rat Master.
I do like that as soon as they get on the beach, they're like, all right, gotta camp.
Yeah. Yep. This is where
just little details like that, like about the whole thing where it's like, oh, it's a mile to the north. Like them just mentioning little things like that. Like, because his explanation for why they have to camp is because, like, we'll go to sleep now, and then when we wake up, by the time it's dark, we'll be to the city tomorrow, kind of thing. Like, he says that and whatnot. And I just like, those are, I don't know what you'd call that, maybe world building or something, but it's just, it's immersive or whatever. I like, I don't think I can't think of another superhero movie where they're like really actually laying out that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
let's get on the plan. What's going
they
on.
legitimately seem like a Black Ops team. He's the leader. He's got the info. Literally some info that I don't think you get a lot of the times when like someone's like, oh yeah, so-and-so's the leader. You see it a lot in like maybe cowboy movies or something, but it's something that, exists on journeys in other tales, but I haven't really seen it in the superhero journey. So that was just a nice little detail that I thought was neat. Then they get a mission in the middle of the night. They got to go save
Ric Flair.
I think it's the morning, actually, but whatever. Yeah, and that's a great gag too. Very funny. They very impressively, it was already, they're like killing this whole camp of guys who supposedly have Mr. Flag held captive.
Yeah, I like the little who can kill guys cooler competition between the two. I like that they don't say it.
I don't like Idris Elba talking under his breath and being like, damn it, he's right.
Yeah.
That was a little
very
tacky.
ADR. You can tell he didn't say that. But yeah, no, I like that they were having that little competition, but they weren't like, okay, let's see who could get. They just do it. It's just, you can see from them looking at each other. I like it. I like it a lot. Shark guy eating people, always fun. I liked it every time. Hate to admit, but it always got a good kick out of it. I got a good kick out of it. One guy's dick is just out for no reason.
Yes.
Didn't like that.
Didn't like it?
Didn't like that. Felt
Why not?
like a needless dick. I'm like, ooh, they're gonna shoot this guy in the dick, and they didn't. So they subverted expectations, but also didn't want to see the guy's dick.
No, I'm fine with it, because that's the weird thing is that, like, that movie, in terms of how gross it is violence-wise, and then also having a dick in it, like, how is that not necessarily considered X-rated? But then you can't show penetration in a movie.
I was just saying,
you know,
penetration is
like, whatever.
the X.
So I'm saying more dicks and less violence.
More penetration.
Let's turn it into porn. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's weird that, like, it's so normal for every movie, and I mean every movie that comes out every year to be about a white guy who's angry and doesn't know how to communicate, so he's just going to go get vengeance, and he's got a gun, and he's shooting people in the heart and killing dozens of people, and that's more acceptable than, like, sometimes dick being in the frame. Not in terms of what you're saying. I don't mean in terms of what you're saying. I just mean in, like, a grander scale. It's crazy that we're okay with the idea that, like, if you got screwed over by a guy and he stole your dog, that warrants an hour and a half of taking people's lives. That's acceptable, but
there was
John Wick is on throwing shade at him.
Yeah, I can't remember the video game, but there's a video game being showed off at E3 one year. Like they had like floor demos, people could come up and play it. It was like a horror game, and like you walk through some like section, like a hallway or corridor, and there's a bunch of dead naked people, and they're like, "Oh, we have a problem here." Floor demo. This is America. There might be younger people walking by. These are naked bodies, and they're like, "Oh, just mutilate them. Just fuck that shit up."
Yeah.
Until there's no bits left. It's like that's
kind of sad. Yeah. Yeah. Think I lost the plot. My mind wandered a little bit.
Killing the freedom fighters.
Yes. And then that's the reveal, right? They're like, how come my men didn't alert me that you were here?
Well, we didn't see nobody.
Yes, I also like that line where, she's like, we didn't see anybody on the way yet.
Also, Polka Dot Man mentions before this that his origin story or whatever, his mom experimented on him, so he's always, whenever he wants to kill, he imagines people are his mom and tries to kill them.
I think the first line's good, but then I don't like when he's like, she's like, what happened or whatever, and he's like, I imagined them all as my mother and then I killed them.
Didn't love that, but what I was getting to is I think we already missed the first time you see from his point of view and everybody is his mom.
No, I think it happens when he looks at the squad, right?
Yeah, I thought that
but
was
does he do that
right
then?
before. Oh no, it happens with Ric Flair there too. So yeah, it happens after this. I'm sorry.
But anyways, very quick back to back, you get the thing where he says, like, they're like, well, he's like, I don't like killing, and they're like, well, then how do you do it? And he's like, I just picture him as my mom. And that's like the nice, perfect line, in my opinion, of being edgy, but like, not so edgelordy that I don't like this character anymore. And then like 2 seconds later, she's like, well, what happened? And he's like, I imagined them all as my mom, and then I killed them. And I'm like, oh, now you took it a little too far. Now it's a little too icky. That's just my 2 cents about that.
I think maybe if earlier he says something like, oh, I gotta like,
there's maybe more distance between the lines or something.
Or if the first time, instead of saying it the first time, he said something along the lines of like, ooh, I just got to picture the right person or something like that, or I got to get the right headspace or something like that, and then he blurts it out there. Because I think that joke works really well there for them to quick cut to her looking around and be like, well, I'd make a deal with the damn devil who could help me do this. I don't know why I gave her a southern accent. So yeah, then what? They're like getting transported in, basically, to the city? Maybe they cut to Harley Quinn?
Perhaps. Yeah, was that like the Harley Quinn bit where the president asks her to marry?
Maybe.
Whatever, we'll talk about that scene real quick. I like that scene as a whole. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, again, it reminds me of Grant Morrison, just that thing where, like, in my opinion, that's a clever idea that, like, that this group of people idolize Harley Quinn for being, in their minds, anti-U.S. government.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, no, I think we're skipping right past. You see Doctor Who for the first time. And he talks to this guy and the general, and he's like, "Oh, starfish, Starro. I'm making Starro. I have Starro. He controls minds." And they're like, "Cool, you're working for us. You're on board." Handshake. And he's like, "Cool. Got all these things in my head. Who knows how I sleep?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of, let's just address villains real quick. How do you feel about the villains of this movie?
I liked Peter Capaldi. I like him in everything. I did not care for the other two guys.
Yeah, I feel like it's serviceable at best. It reminds me a lot of like Iron Man 1 without there being that
Absolutely, yeah.
like that great of a Jeff Bridges guy necessarily
Yeah.
too much. Like I know at the end they're kind of like, well, who the fuck do you think started this shit?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I do like that they're like,
I do like Starro as well.
yeah, yeah. Star was good, and also the thing where it's like, yeah, the U.S. government also is at fault here, and I like how, yeah, I like that it ends with the world getting destroyed by aliens, just like every other fucking superhero movie has been doing, but in just a way cooler way.
Yeah.
Right.
I also do like about that. I mean, we're skipping ahead, but to that reveal,
Yeah.
I like how it's not like, oh yeah, it was Waller's division that brought them here and did this. They're like, no, it was fucking Yankee Doodle. It was America.
Yeah.
The American government was doing this.
And again, something I was thinking like, I don't know if that shit would fly over there in Marvel Town, because that's a big thing. Like we've discussed before, especially on the Marvel episodes, is like the fact that movies kind of have to play ball with the U.S. government.
Yep.
But this movie does not utilize any like army trucks or like
Yep.
or like air bases or anything like that. So for all I know, I'm speaking very ignorantly right now, but probably didn't play ball with the thing, so
Yeah.
this movie doesn't fucking concern them,
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's punk rock and hell
Punk
yeah.
rock as hell. Good on you, James.
So anyways, yeah, and then they're sneaking in
GBG.
to the city, right? They got to put costumes on. It's kind of funny, like the idea that like they're like, hey, Sharkman can't wear nothing, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that he's like fake
Big
mustache.
Yeah, that
Because
shit sucked.
again, it kind of breaks. It's like another example of like these jokes that I keep bringing up that like kind of break it for me, because he's supposed to have like the intelligence of like a third or fourth grader kind of a thing. Like I don't know, it just seems like, in my head at least, I was like, would he be that like culturally aware that we do that often kind of a thing, to even say fake mustache?
Hey, you think you're too hard about it, but yeah, at the
I
same
don't
time,
know.
I was like, fake mustache. Fake mustache is almost a sentence. It's pretty coherent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so
Yeah.
specific that it breaks, is what I really mean to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I was talking about it a lot, but I mean to say it's just like a weird thing for him to say. I feel like there's a more natural like example he could have given, or I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that one didn't land for me, because that just felt like a weird joke. Yeah, they're in the van. They get into town and they go to the titty bar, right? I mean, I'm glossing over a lot of little things, but just to keep it kind of going.
I think we missed the Harley Quinn scene you like a lot.
Oh yeah, right. When she's the marriage thing, they have sex just before, and I really did enjoy that, because there's that nice montage of them like falling in love, and then he proposes to her kind of, and it gets serious. The music drops out, and then it hard cuts to them fucking and just knocking over and smashing all of the prince's like expensive shit in his mansion. I thought that was very funny.
He reveals a big bad plot to her, like any man, woman, or child that stands in her way now will do. She just shoots him in the back.
The red flags, yeah.
And which I liked, because as soon as they were like starting this, whatever, they were making out, or whatever, I was like, oh, she's gonna kill him. She's gonna kill him. She's gonna kill him. And then as soon as I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is part of the movie. She kills him. It's great. And then yeah, she gives a whole red flags thing. And then they arrest her again.
Mm-hmm.
And then
There's also the scene where they're torturing her.
I think that's after the titty bar.
Oh, definitely.
So the titty bar.
Yes. They hang out. They drink. Idris Elba's like, we're only going to have one. But they have more than one. They're hanging out. And that's actually a really cute scene where I'm like, look at these guys getting along.
I
This
do.
ragtag bunch of ruffians.
I was thinking of it watching this. I do really dislike in movies. Usually it's with an ensemble, and usually it's something like this where they're drinking. But they're just like, come on, we'll do this and we'll have fun. And then immediately cuts to, during that conversation, no one says anything that's fun. They're just having fun immediately. Like, they all take a shot and go, ha ha ha. Ah ha ha! Someone starts coughing. Like, oh ho ho ha! Yeah, we're having a good time here, guys.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but whatever. It's serviceable. It works. They're having a good time.
Yeah, it wasn't that offensive in this one for me, I don't think. I think I've seen it worse, because my defense for this one is that it's not like they get like plastered, right?
I don't even mean so much so like throughout the bar scene and the montage of them having. That's fine, but it's like if me and you were sitting here with shots, and I was like, "Come on, Chris, let's drink," and you're like, "I don't know," and I'm like, "Come on," And you're like, okay. And we took a shot and you coughed a little bit. I went, ah, ha, ha, ha. And you went, ah, ha, ha, ha.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about, like, what is it? Which one of them, which one's the one that kind of chokes on a little bit?
I don't fucking know. Polka Dot Man, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. But ignoring that part, as someone who spent a year not drinking, like, that resonates with me much more now, specifically the thing where someone talks you into one drink and then suddenly you are actually having a good time. Because there have been a lot of functions I go to where, like, because I'm not drinking and everyone else is, I'm just like, dude, I gotta get out of here. But then there was that one night in Chicago where I was literally trying to go home, but then I got kind of talked back into it because Chloe was like, I requested a duet at the karaoke. And I was like, whatever. I'll have a couple of Stella Artois. And literally, like, within one beer, suddenly I ended up having, like, 3 beers or whatever. Like, I was, like, joking around and, like, singing along with other people doing the karaoke, and then we were doing Sabotage and stuff like that. And it was honestly pretty much exactly like that. So just one of those things where, like, the difference between me enjoying being at the karaoke bar and not enjoying was whether or not I was pouring alcohol on top of it.
After a year of sobriety, Chris finds out drinking rules.
Yeah, it does kick ass. It's just finding out where's that point where it stops kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't even want to put a number on it, but there's just a certain like level of having some drinks in you that, like, everything in your body is telling you it's Saturday night. You don't drink that often. Let's just fucking drink until we can't even see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be like, no, I feel good at 3 drinks. Let's just chill, and maybe in an hour I'll have another one. And, like, it's time to space them out now, right?
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to put a number on it, because, you know, if you, like, kill 3 to get there and then just relax it from there, you know, have, like, a drink an hour, you can ride it out for as long as you want.
You know what I hate? I think my biggest problem with drinking is my body refuses to fucking black out.
Yeah.
What happens when I drink is either I'll drink a little bit and I know my limit and I have a good time and that's the end of the night, or I'll drink and I'll drink and I'll drink. I'm not feeling a lot, and then I'll keep drinking, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw up. And then I throw up and I'm like, okay, I'd like to be done now. And then I'm just queasy and just absent-minded the whole time. And I'm like, I guess I'll keep drinking. And I keep drinking, and I just keep, like, I feel like I'm falling back into the sunken place. Like, I'll just sit somewhere and I'm like, ugh. And, like, my body, I mentally checked out.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, my body just won't sleep. Because as soon as I try to go to sleep, my body's like, ooh, we're dizzy. We're puking now. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. Kind of a blessing and a curse, though.
Yeah.
You don't really necessarily want to be blacking out from.
Yeah.
As someone who's spent a year blacking out every night, it's not that awesome.
What I'm saying is I'd like to be able to sleep after I get drunk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I don't know, I think most people have it, but there's just that thing where when I drink, like, for sure, it's like, I'm not saying this in my head, like, the blackout part, but, like, it's like my body is racing to the blackout. And it's like, why? Enjoy the journey to the blackout. The blackout's when it stops being fun.
That's when it stops being anything.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're just all naked, covered in piss in your own bed.
If you're lucky, your own bed.
If you're lucky, sometimes it's the front seat of your car.
Or some very expensive rug.
Yeah.
So Doctor Who shows up at the bar.
He just plays it real cool.
Very cool.
He's like, ha ha ha, that's a gun. You're laughing. We're old friends. You're going to take me to Jotunheim.
And then the government shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, it's okay. Everybody, just give us your papers. And Idris Elba goes, oh, let's not ruin everybody's good time.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. The rest of them slip out the back and they get arrested. And maybe close to my favorite scene in the movie. It's just the 3 of them stuck in the back of the truck, just shooting the shit with the soldiers. There's something about, I don't know what it is, like this scene particularly, where the guy gives them a cigarette, or if you see someone on a firing line with the blindfold out and a cigarette in their mouth. Coolest shit ever to me. Don't know why. There's a scene in Old Boy, which I've been trying to watch recently, where he gets out of being in prison for 15 years. And he sees, like, a group of, like, just street kids, and one of them smoking a cigarette, and he says something about, like, I haven't even seen a cigarette in 15 years, and he just takes it out of the guy's mouth, starts smoking. The guy's like, what the fuck? And he punches him, and he knocks him on his ass. He's just laying on the ground. He's like, oh. He just smoked. So anything, someone in a dire situation smoking a cigarette is the coolest thing on the planet.
They emerged from the back after the crash.
Yes, very cool.
I do like the thing where, like,
talking about that came, like, straight from a magazine cover.
I do like that John Cena kills both the drivers, and it's kind of one of those things where, like, again, it's always most interesting when, like, the problems that your characters are dealing with were created by themselves, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's fun that, like, oh, fuck, well, now I'm an idiot. God damn, I gotta reach through this hole and, drive. But anyways, and then they emerge from it, and they're wearing, like Pulp Fiction, they're wearing just bullshit. It's very funny that John Cena's in, like, jorts.
Yeah, I like it.
It's very
I love later reason the jorts and he has the helmet on. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. And then what kind of happens from there?
I think it's...
Let's go save Harley time. That's
Yes,
Operation
exactly.
Harley or
Yeah.
whatever. And I do legitimately love everything about the Harley Quinn character, except, for her just awful, awful costume, in my opinion. She's got awful tattoos like Daddy's Little Monster.
I think those are holdovers from the last Suicide Squad
100%,
movie.
and I wish they would have, like, just let it get a redesign along with, like, all the other characters, just that kind of classic look. Because, like, I don't like the red and black hair thing, and, like, there's just a lot about it that's just, like, she's almost like the physical embodiment of having a monster tattoo.
Yeah.
Monster energy. And then there's also just, in general, I don't mind the ditzy and the dumb, but, like, again, it just takes it to a point where, like, it just kind of becomes too saccharine and, like, over the top, where she's just, like, going on and on and on and on and on about, like, some kind of misunderstanding she has.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, God, okay, all right. Well, like, the joke died probably the first time she said it, and it's been, like, 30 straight seconds of her just going over and over and over again with the...
That's what I hate about characters like Deadpool and Harley Quinn. Is like the joke the first time, not that funny, but I get it, and then they just keep going and going and going, and people with monster tattoos eat that shit up.
Yeah. But in terms of, like, the things the character does,
Yeah, great.
Loved it. Like I said, I love just kind of, like, wandering off and surviving from Team 1 and being taken a prisoner and then being, like, almost married and then killing the president. Just kind of...
She arguably has a more interesting movie than anybody else.
Yeah.
If we hung on her, it probably would have been cooler.
Yeah. And then she's, like, captured, and she, like, breaks out in a very cool way.
Breaks out with Tarantino-level bare feet shots. Just over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I almost nutted when she was clenching them toes.
I was doing the exact opposite. I dislike people's bare feet so much I might even have a shoe fetish, if I'm being honest. Yeah, get that shit out of my face.
And I also love the whole thing. Again, it's just the joke didn't really land, but I like the sentiment of the whole, like, we're here to rescue, and her being like, you would do that for me?
Yeah, I like,
but, like, I get it. Like, it works, but it's like, I don't know.
I feel like if the delivery was just a little bit better, because I do like the line of, like, I can go back in and you guys can try again. I love that. But also at the same time, let's give it 2 more takes, maybe.
I feel like it would be a line, maybe, I'm just throwing this out as an idea, like, would that work almost as if she was trying to be funny? Do you think it would work better, even, perhaps?
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
Because that's one of the things that I don't like sometimes in movies is when, like, they try to sell a line as if the character would have really said it, when in reality, if that person was saying that, they would have been saying it kind of like with a shit-eating grin, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, a lot of times humor is played, if something is played just straight, that makes it way funnier. But also at the same time, yeah, like this situation, yeah, you're right, it might have been a little funnier if she was like, well, I can go back inside if you'd like.
Yeah, because I feel like that's something the character is missing, is, like, ever being intentionally funny.
Yeah.
I don't like that her character is always unintentionally funny.
And when she is being intentionally funny, it's like the 69 joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, like, as bad as the millennial joke this movie
Yeah.
makes. As bad as the that's racist joke that this movie makes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably the 3 big clunkers. Just felt
And the
totally
3
fat.
biggest laughs they got from the guy 4 seats down from us.
Yeah. Well, the that's racist one got a huge laugh. Even the millennials one did.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then we're, big time saving the day.
Off to the races, baby.
All that stuff's great. It's intense. I like them, planting the bombs everywhere. Then they're down in the basement. They're finding out about the dirty little secrets.
How do you feel about... I loved it, but then I thought about it more and I disliked it. How do you feel about that scene of them driving up and then coming out and you get that cool action shot, that cool hero shot of all of them?
In the rain?
Yeah, to Hay by the Pixies.
It was weird. I appreciate it for trying something different because I've never really seen that. Because there's, like, the thing where, like, honestly, I thought they were trying to kind of foreshadow that they would all die, because there's that point where in the song it says, like, if you go, I will surely die. And as that happens, what's happening? Idris Elba is going away from then fading into the overexposed rain.
And I think it's more so just like a tongue-in-cheek, like they're the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But, Chris, I'm sure you know this about me. There's nothing I love more than a good needle drop.
Yeah.
Just a good song and a good part of a movie, and there's a cool shot of heroes walking in the rain. Ooh, gets me every time.
Can I show you How I Met Your Mother episode where they drop the hay needle?
Yeah, sure. Oh, do they play hay?
Yeah, there's a scene. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't like that. But yeah, you can show me later.
How I Met Your Mother gets a pass in my book.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. But what I thought was cool about this was like, oh, fuck. I've never heard Hey by the Pixies in a TV show or a movie before. That's cool. And, like, yeah, I was telling you in the car at the beginning when all those people, the first Suicide Squad dies.
Yeah.
And it shows all their bodies, and it plays the song People Who Died. I love that song. And I love Hey by the Pixies, and a lot of the music, the needle drops in this are just songs that I personally like, that I listen to myself, that I haven't heard in other TV shows and movies. And now I can't listen to those fucking songs anymore. That song comes on in my car, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, this is the song from Suicide Squad." Like, God damn it!
Yeah, like I said, it was interesting at first because what's that term for sound that comes from like within the movie? Diegetic, yeah. At first, Hey starts that way. And I do kind of like that, where it's like inside the van. And it's the middle of the day, and it's just about to start raining, but the sun's out. Like, that's such a specific... Like I said, I've never seen that. Like, that's a weird thing to pair a song with.
Yeah.
I don't really think I've ever seen that thing where, like, it's like I said, just all of those little elements. Like, middle of the day, sunny but raining. You know, hot in the van, probably. Playing on the radio. You know, like, when I think of that song, usually, I'm thinking about nighttime. Driving at night. Right. So I do think it's a really interesting scene, and I would say in general I like it. And also, yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, watching them kind of phase in because the camera's so overexposed and stuff. It's neat. It's a really neat thing that I've never seen.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Anyway, go inside. They're placing the bombs.
Dirty little secret in the basement. I like, again, like...
I think that might... Some people laughed like it was a joke, like one of the button elevators said Dirty Little Secret, but I think that's just another one of those scene transitions, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Can't confirm. But yeah, they're planting the bombs and they go in the basement. And Doctor Who is showing them around, and there's all these people with starro fish all over the face. And they're like, "Are you here to save us? He's been having his way with us for 30 years.
And he just kind of smiles. Did you see any kids in the crowd?
None.
Yeah, well, that's fine, and I know that he probably did, but that was weird when Bad Haircut Guy was like, "He's been experimenting on kids."
Oh.
Which is fine because he's right.
Movie theater.
What's that?
I thought you meant in the movie theater, but no, I didn't see it. It could have been.
Neither did I. Like I said, it's fine. I totally get it. He probably was, but it was just one of those things where, like, I didn't see that necessarily. So when he said it, I was like, yeah, I'm sure he has been. But, like, because I didn't see any kids, I was like, I assume yes.
Yeah. And like we said, very much so, hey, it's the American government doing this.
Yeah. And I like that Peacemaker, again, it's one of those things where, like, all these characters have, like, motivations and, like, you can understand it, like... So his interpretation of peace is like, I just don't want to do anything to disrupt the peace. And anything I have to do to bring things back to that even keel, whether it's the good thing or the bad thing, I'm going to do it to bring it back to that middle thing. And it's nice because it's could have been explored more, but you can even just think about that a little bit, you know, just think about how, inherently peace is not necessarily a good thing. It can even mean that sometimes the bad things are just not being addressed.
Yeah.
Keeping the peace is not good.
Yeah.
Inherently. So it's really neat. I like that a lot. I like that about his character.
But yeah, I think I really like, again, I'm probably biased because of Doctor Who, but I do really like his whole shit there about the government and just being like, 30 years of research down the drain because of a just fucking run-of-the-mill military coup. Mm-hmm. It's great. I loved all that shit.
That's really good, yes.
And then a bunch of bombs go off and Starro is free.
Yes. You get a little bit of shit with, like, Milton and, like... The polka dot man.
Yeah, I liked the Milton joke because, while they never brought any attention to him being there. And a few times it was like, I just love that the driver's just there with them.
Yeah.
And then he dies and there's that.
I liked that scene. I didn't mean to deride it at all. It seems like a better... I don't know. To go back to the javelin thing, I actually did like the javelin scene where he's like, I want you to have the javelin. You're worthy of having the javelin. That was all pretty funny. But then it was ruined by her being like, what? For what? For who? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
When
it's
he's dying.
just
It's one of those things where it's like, all right, this didn't need to be that joke.
like
Again, it's just too dumb. It's like too dumb.
like I feel like it's a joke that could work with really good delivery, but Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn voice never has good delivery.
Yeah.
In this movie or the last one I remember seeing. I feel like she was funny.
Maybe that's what it is. I've just never seen Harley Quinn on screen, so I'm just going more so off of like not liking that, but it could be also delivery. I don't know.
I remember her being funny in Birds of Prey. I have no examples, but I don't know. I'll have to watch that again. Yeah, they do all that. The building starts blowing the fuck up.
That's all cool. I like when they're all trying to hang on for dear life. I mean, on a side note, the Shark Man made some friends, but then they try to eat him. Buildings falling in half. They got to run across it and jump over. Yada, yada, yada. That's all good. I like that Idris Elba does the whole Batman grappling hook thing, but it fails, and he smashes his way all the way down to the Peacekeeper scene.
Very
where he's
slowly,
about
I
to
like
shoot
that, yeah.
Rat, and that's one of many scenes, especially during the climax, where whenever Idris Elba sees the Rat Girl, it's already been established that she reminds him of his daughter, and that's always when he seems to get like a second wind or like genuinely care. You know. And then a bullet gets shot with another bullet, but instead of melding together like you'd imagine, Idris Elba's bullet's small enough to go inside of his bullet, just like the joke that Peacemaker made in the beginning.
I like that. I like that a lot, yeah. I shoot more in the center. Well, how do you shoot more in the center? Smaller bullets. My bullet goes through your bullet hole without even touching the sides. It's so good, yeah.
I did like that Peacekeeper line, and I also like that scene.
They're doing a Peacekeeper TV show.
That could be funny.
They just finished filming it.
Is John Cena in it?
John Cena's in it. James Gunn directed it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'd be good.
But he's
I hope
dead.
it'll be good.
But he's dead. It's probably going to be a prequel.
It's probably
right?
it's probably before he's in the Suicide Squad. And then Starro is loose and all that, and he starts taking over. Yada yada yada.
I love Starro. Love everything about Starro. I love how colorful it is. I love the big guy. I like how he moves around like a man in a big rubber suit. Mm-hmm. And I like when he shoots the Starros out, it looks like he's just like shitting them out like an actual like organic thing. Like just out of the side. Ugh.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's a really, really just like it's not even that hard. James Gunn just managed to do it by turning it into a starfish to just freshen up the idea that an alien from another place is destroying the world at the end of a superhero movie.
Yeah, no, I mean Starro.
It feels so fresh and unique.
I think Starro has been around since like the 50s.
Yeah.
It's like a main staple like Superman villain, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just love that. I'm such a sucker for a director or a screener or someone looking at a comic book and going, well, let's just do exactly this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could have easily just been like the Hakari or whatever coming through and looking like something that could exist in the background of Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, like a
That's
grayish
brown,
green monster. But no, it's fucking Starro. It's great.
Exactly that. So that's all really cool. I did like that. Too bad that he died because I did like Polka Dot Man, but I did like, again, because it's established in his character that his mom was trying to make a superhero and stuff like that, and then he takes his mom down, i.e. Starro, and he says, I think where he's like, I'm a superhero, and he's like, I'm a motherfucking, and then he gets smashed, which, in my opinion, I don't know, I think I would have preferred it if he lived.
Yeah, there's a few times in this movie, like when Milton dies, I was like, oh, he's their Yinsid. And when Polka Dot Man dies, I'm like, he's their Yinsid? But I always think it's strange in movies where main characters die. You can always tell it's going to happen just from the shot, a couple seconds. It just hangs on that shot that's a little bit too wide. You're like, oh, something's coming from out of frame and killing this guy. Yeah,
it reminds me of like growing up watching like Scooby-Doo cartoons. How like the thing that's actually going to move is for some reason like 2 shades lighter than everything else. Yeah. So and then rats save the day. Which I think is cool.
That's something that I always think about with like this is an original thought, but like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Ant-Man can get big and small, but also he can communicate with ants. That's the power right there, bud.
Yeah.
If you can control any type of insect or small animal like rats and get them to all accomplish one task, the world is yours, baby. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Again, that Grant Morrison thing, where it's like, that's like a thing that like Grant Morrison's the king of taking shit that like, excuse me, Marvel loves doing the whole like in Captain America, like it's a little outdated, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just being like, no, this is original and nobody else is doing this. Of course, this is the best idea that comics has to offer.
Yeah.
Someone who can control rats? Are you kidding me? And I just like that. I like that that's how the movie ends with, like, what other superhero movie was going to be like, or at least, like, a company trying to make a superhero movie is going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, your end bad guy can be a giant starfish with an eyeball in the middle of it. And then what other, like, again, what other superhero movie is going to be like, oh, yeah, also that could be killed by millions and millions and millions of rats. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, this is so cool. I'm like, okay, cool. Fuck, I just saw a giant space starfish get eaten by 1 million rats.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Quick side note, I think you should read Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman.
I have.
You have?
The one where he's dying and he doesn't want to tell Lois. And
Moving on.
yeah.
No, I think, yeah, because the whole book is like Grant Morrison just like
Yeah.
literally taking things from
Yeah.
50s and 60s Superman comic books that are just fucking stupid.
He
and
does it
making
to a
them cool.
lesser extent with Arkham Asylum, A Serious House, and Serious
Yeah.
Earth. But, like, again, like Batman in general, he doesn't really touch a lot on, like, it's early enough in his career that he's not really digging in the fucking shit, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, just, like, a little example is, like, the Two-Face thing. I like the idea that, like, all of his decisions were based on, like, yes and no, very black and white. So they weaned him down to, like, a dice roll, and then to, like, tarot cards, and then down to a deck of cards, and he was, like, literally paralyzed to the point where, like, even to decide whether or not to get up to piss, he'd have to, like, consult the deck of cards, and he'd end up pissing himself because of how long that takes and stuff.
Fucked up.
Yeah. Anyways.
They do it. We also missed we're going to take down the big monster, and Amanda Waller's like, you ain't taking down the big monster.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
gonna
I
push
forgot
button. And then Steve Agee and the director's wife beat up Viola Davis.
Yeah, Viola Davis just, oh my God, commits a tragedy on this film in terms of her performance.
In a good or bad way?
I'm saying she didn't just kill it. She's like the Ted
she's so
Bundy.
good. Yeah.
She's like the Ted Bundy of the film. She fucking not only murders it, but eats it afterwards. Oh my God. Yeah, she's an amazing actor. Holy shit.
So yeah, they win. And
I thought Idris Elba also did a very, very fantastic job. Those are the two standout actors of the film. Those guys knocked it out of the park.
Chris, if I'm being honest, I don't remember what happens after this.
Well, a little bit before, Harley Quinn got the idea that the javelin was going to save the day, so she jumped into the eye. Was not expecting the eye to be ocean-like. That was weird too.
Anytime
I like that.
a character jumps underwater in a movie, I immediately hold my breath and see if I can hold my breath for as long as they do it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm getting lightheaded. I'm going to stop this one.
Also hate that because I hate anything that had to do with like hurting an eyeball and the fact that the rats are eating what's inside of there. And I was like, oh, this is awful. But what happens after that? Well, we actually rolled over that. You brought it up, but we didn't even talk about it. There's, again, so multiple times throughout this, one of the reasons why I was asking some of those questions about the first Suicide Squad was to ask, one, did they feel like bad guys? And two, was there that dynamic between Amanda Waller, right? Because that's, again, two really big strengths I think this movie has in terms of how it's written is like, these are bad guys. You like them because they've got traits that you like and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they do bad things.
Yeah, and the other one it is people going, you are bad guys. We are bad guys. These are bad guys. Our relationship with Amanda Waller is contentious. Hey, listen, Suicide Squad, I know your relationship with me is contentious right now. Just telling you over and over again.
But yeah, like you see him slaughter a whole village of freedom fighters or what have you. And then with the Amanda Waller thing, she makes it very clear at multiple points earlier in the film, like, I mean, that's the whole point of like Michael Rourke or whatever getting his head blown up, was to establish the fact that like if you go off mission, I'm going to blow up your brain. And then you get that moment when they decide, you know what, fuck it, we're fighting the fucking starfish. And Amanda Waller's like, God damn it, and then she gets domed. But yeah, that was a good scene too. I was like, damn, is she really about to? Because like, and again, it's one of those things where much like Game of Thrones, like they've established pretty much that anybody could die. So I legitimately thought there was a chance that Idris Elba could get blown.
Yeah.
I really did. I was
Yeah,
like, damn, is
absolutely.
he about to get blown? And then, yeah, we also glossed, even though we talked about it earlier, we glossed over the fact that, like, yes, so them deciding to do that, that it reinforces the idea that everybody has a little bit good in them, the same thing that the rat saw in him, and then his daughter gets to see him on TV and whatnot. And after that, how does it totally wrap up? I remember the screen going bloody red, kind of. Oh, yeah, it ends with him being like, hey, I got all this data that shows that America did this shit.
Okay, yeah.
We're doing our own thing or else I'm going public with that. And she says that thing, which, again, is a great line, I think, and it's a great delivery. I love those two actors. I love their dynamic. I love when she's like, told you I'd make a leader out of you.
Yeah.
That was really good. I thought that was really, really good. And I think it kind of ends there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And so to rate it, being very fair, this is in terms of my enjoyment and where I would rank it. I love the film, just to give you an example, Horror of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in 1957. It stars Christopher Lee playing Dracula. It's slow, it's quiet, it's in color. There's some blood. Kind of a decent... It's not as atmospheric as the one from the 30s, but it has a charm to it. And I like it. I would probably give it like a C+.
Yeah.
Not a similar movie at all, but like I'd probably give this movie like a C+. And I don't think that's a bad grade on the scale that I'm trying to establish for myself. Like maybe if I did it numerically, I would say that this is probably like a, in like the 6-7 range.
Yeah.
6.5, 7. But like, also it's one of those things where, to contextualize that, like, we'd have to review more movies and me to place things along, but like anything over 5, I liked it. It was good. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think 5 is good. 5 is a good movie that I liked. Yeah.
To get 10, you're just gonna have to be something that I enjoyed as much as, and like feel like has more of that, like, oh, you kind of have to see this factor to it. Like 10's gonna be your Godfather, your There Will Be Blood, your No Country for Old Men. Like, those are just movies that, like, are they my favorite? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying those are the movies that, like, when I think of like, oh, what's a 10, you know what I mean? Those ones.
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite movies are probably gonna fall in the 8 or 9 category, because it's like, yeah, well, it's Punch Drunk Love, beautiful movie, it's moving, it's intoxicating, I get swept up in it. But, like, is this, like, a must-see before you die? I don't know. It's just a story about a guy with anger problems, who's lonely and doesn't really know how to deal with his feelings or intimacy and ends up falling in love. And, there's some weird shit in there with him, like, calling a sex line, but the sex line is, like, shady, and they're sending guys out after him to try to, like, work him over for money and stuff, and that's very stressful, yada, yada, yada. Good movie. 8. Maybe 9.
Yeah.
But 8, probably.
Respectable.
So, anyways, yeah, I would say this movie's like a 6.5, probably. And a very strong 6.5. Nothing to worry about. It's doing just fine. It was fine.
I'm going to give it a hard 7.
Hard 7? I just split the diff between me saying 6 to 7.
6.5. Yeah, I'm going to go back to 6.5.
Okay.
No. Yes. Yeah, 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's respectable. Like I said, I think it's really well written. I think it's got some jokes that land. I think the action works. A lot of the action was pretty damn thrilling. Like I said, setting up the bombs, towers falling over, got to run across, yada, 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 storming the freedom fighter camp. Couple of heartfelt moments in there in terms of cons. I'm sorry, but there's a cap sometimes on superhero movies.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, in my opinion... I genuinely don't think that superhero movies have had their, like, Watchmen yet.
Yeah.
Like, for what Watchmen was for graphic novels kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where, like, it transcends to the point of, like, this is a staple of must-read before you die thing.
Yeah.
And people may say The Dark Knight, but come on. Is that really that good of a movie? I enjoy it. It's good.
It's
but
not
I'm saying,
an argument I want to have right now.
What's that?
So that's an argument we can have, but not what I want to have right now. No.
What I'm asking you is, if you were to sit down and write a book, is that making the top 100 movies that you have to see before you die?
The Dark Knight?
Yes.
100%. Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 100 movies?
Yes.
The Dark Knight? Absolutely. Like top 100. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is getting into my top 100 movies.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Teach their own.
Okay, that was hyperbole. Probably not Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, but
I just mean also, like, no disrespect to Christopher Nolan, but, like, it's also still a Christopher Nolan movie. Christopher Nolan movies do also kind of have problems. I'm not looking at it as just
yeah,
like,
but they're good movies. They're legit. They're undeniably great movies.
I'm not saying they're bad movies.
They're in the top 100 for sure. Some of them.
All of them?
Some of them.
I wouldn't put Memento in there.
I'd put
I wouldn't put Inception in there. Interstellar's pretty darn good.
I'd put either Interstellar or The Dark Knight in there.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're blowing my mind, Chris.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about The Dark Knight.
Well, no,
Is that the part that's
we're at
blowing
an
my
hour and a half, and it's 48 minutes past my bedtime. So if we can keep this quick, yeah. Chris is one
Why
of
does it blow your mind?
that you wouldn't put The Dark Knight in your top 100 movies of all time?
Probably not. I guess, like, explain to me a little bit, like, why it's blowing my mind a bit. Are you blowing your mind?
Because it's a universally agreed upon great movie.
Yeah. That doesn't. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a difference between that and, like, oh, you have to see it before you die. Like,
I think Dark Knight falls under the category of you have to see it before you die. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And listen to me, Chris. Look at me in the eyes.
Yeah.
There is nothing I fucking hate more in this world than people talking about The Dark Knight going, oh, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. But
Yeah.
Chris, objectively, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. The reason I hate listening to people talk about it being one of the greatest movies ever made is because it's like, yeah, no shit. It would be like somebody being like, oh, bro, The Godfather? Oh, you have no idea. It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
I don't know. I mean, this is really going to make you mad.
Go for it.
But, like, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't have my list, but, like, I'd put something like Forrest Gump on there first, even.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or,
Chris,
like, Good Will Hunting, you know? I don't know.
the fact that you're telling me that there's not even a possibility that it is number 100 on your list blows my mind.
Well, I probably have more than 100 movies. I'm not saying they're all amazing, but I'm just thinking, like, if I were literally to sit down, like, what are the odds that that actually breaks the top 100?
Before you make this list, Chris, I need you to rewatch The Dark Knight.
I've seen it pretty recently. I have it on Blu-ray. Like I said, I think it's a good movie. But again, it's just one of those things where, like, also, I feel like I'm getting your goat a little bit, but, like, I think you like superheroes a lot more than I do, which is fair to say. And I think if I'm constructing the 100 movies that you have to see before you die, I'm thinking about if you're just a person that exists in the world, and, like, it's just one of those things where, like, I know it's not because millions and millions of people will go and see it. I understand that. But arguing that a guy who puts on leather at night and beats up a guy who dresses like a clown is just a hard sell for the top 100 movies, perhaps. I don't know. I'd have to look at every movie
you're
I've
not
seen.
putting a fucking
and, like,
Dracula movie in that 100 list.
Nah, probably not. Well,
I gotcha.
I would personally, again, this is, I don't know. Because that comes down to, again, like, how am I building the list? Because I would maybe put Frankenstein. I think that one's got a better kind of, like, overall theme, like, right, like we just talked about, like, with the Suicide Squad being about, like, oh, everybody's got a little bit of good in them. You know, that one plays a little more on, like, something that you can, like, tangibly, like, say, which is, like, literally don't play God. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you watch it. Whereas, like, Dracula's kind of, I guess, like, what's that movie about? Like, oh, how scary it'd be if a vampire was real, kind of. I mean, there are other themes you can read into about, like, you know, sex and yada yada, whatever. But yeah, I don't know, because yeah, I think probably Frankenstein over Dracula. I wouldn't put Dracula in the top 100.
Well, thanks for making my point for me, I guess.
I think it's also fair to say, though, that, I think horror has a more cemented place in human history than, like, superhero movies do. I know that superhero movies kind of share an origin with, like, your Greek heroes and your biblical heroes, sure. But I just feel like horror has been a mainstay forever. I mean, even going back to the Odyssey or Beowulf or Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and a lot of those Sir Lancelot stories, there's always horror elements. There's always a point that's supposed to be spooky and suspenseful. A lot of your best authors of all time. Even things like To Kill a Mockingbird is considered to have horror elements with Boo Radley and stuff. But, Edgar Allan Poe, Stephen King, all the way up through, comics having their origin in specifically being a medium to tell horror tales. Movies, one of the, again, just one of the original, like, couple genres you had being horror. So, yeah, I mean, I would be considering some of those. I'd be probably considering, I guess, Frankenstein. I don't know. Again, I mean, it just comes down to us being, a little different. I got a big boner for horror. I think it's important. I think people sometimes don't think a little bit about how integral it is to just storytelling in general. Yeah.
What I was saying wasn't that those movies aren't good. Those Dracula or Frankenstein movies aren't good enough to be in the top 100.
I understand
like,
you're just saying that,
but like
I made it sound ridiculous, and
yeah,
you're making Dracula sound ridiculous.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
About a character that's 100 years old, set in the modern day, about the escalation of power and force. And it's good, Chris. It's in the top 100. I'm tired of talking about this. We can pick it up another time, I guess. Suicide Squad is good. I recommend watching it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We gotta watch The Dark Knight again. Fuck Thor. I'm gonna put that off as long as possible. We're watching The Dark Knight this weekend. Anyway, it's bedtime. Night. Say something about it. I don't want to.
I thought you'd already ended it. Yeah. I don't know. Did they say something? Is there like a catchphrase they have in the movie, like "squad out" or something?
Squad out. Team, let's hang ourselves.
Are we out there now, or do I have to say another thing?
I'm trying to get you to say something.
What do I say? Hey, we watched the movie. We talked about it a little bit, and I hope you like what we had to say. I hope it made you think. If you want to yell at me for being dumb, or if you want to yell at Nick for being dumb, I'm going to read all them comments. How's that? Bye. Have a good one.
All right, fine. Bye.
Yeah. If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,